Hey there, friends and lovers, and today we're going to be doing another queer book review. This is for February's book, which is Sabine by AP. This book is our lesbian book for this cycle. And what it's about is okay, let me restart that. So, when I started reading this book several years ago, I thought it was going to be about something different than it turns out it's about. So I thought that it was going to be about this girl. She goes on like a summer vacation study abroad trip to France. She meets this hot ass teacher. They fuck, and she realizes she's a lesbian. No, that's not at all what happened. So, before I get into it, I want to let you know I did give this book 5 out of 5 stars. It is not a fave in the way that The Village was a fave, but it's very good, so hear me out. This book is about Viola. She goes to France for a study abroad year because she's fucking loaded in high school. She has this weird ass teacher who like owns the house, and then she doesn't teach. She just has other teachers that teach. Confusing. And so this one teacher fucking leaves because she has a nervous breakdown or whatever. I actually don't remember. And Sabine comes in. Sabine is this hot ass young teacher. Everyone's like, why the fuck does she work here? And the students at the school are like, she's got to be a lesbian. They're all like, we gotta find out. And then they all kind of give up on it. They're like, meh, we don't really care that much about lesbians. And then Viola realizes that she'd much rather be hanging out with Sabine, reading books, than fucking the boys that keep on coming over to this weird chateau where they're living. Very confusing stuff, but whatever. So this is the part where I thought, okay, they're gonna have sex. They never have sex. They read on a cot together with a cat, which I know is extremely lesbian of them, but they never have sex? Like, this book is supposed to be erotic. It wasn't erotic, so I'm kind of bummed about that. Before I get into any spoilers, I'm going to read for you an excerpt that really, I think, shows off the style of this book. It's really, really beautiful because there's some sort of elements of like 17-year-old like anguish and aggression, and then there's also like beautiful existentialist stylings. So this is from like, I don't know, a quarter through the book, page 65. Viola is having a conversation with Sabine. So Viola says, I am rich. My father is rich. What does that mean? Sabine says, nothing. It means you're freer, that's all. I don't object to money, I just object to aristocrats having it. Because with them, it's been purified by time. The stink's gone off it, they think it's theirs by right. They forget what their ancestors had to do to get it. How many people they bled and pushed around. Viola says, that's a pretty grim view. Maybe they earned it. Sabine says, yeah, maybe they won it in a medieval lottery. You've got a lot to learn, little Amazon Anglaise. Like, there's just the way that it's written, I think is really beautiful. I was peeking at the Goodreads reviews, and apparently people fucking hate this book, but they can, like, leave. I thought it was good. And then there is a problematic part on page 97 where Viola, the main character, goes to a party in blackface. More interesting than the fact that there is blackface because there's actually substance there to talk about and not just like, oh, well, don't do blackface because, you know, all it takes is to have one brain cell to know that. As the story goes on, Sabine gets really, really sick. And the illness is like kind of described really poorly. They're like saying she's being bled out. And like, what? Because the idea is that like she's losing blood, but there's no cuts. So like, where is she losing the blood from? That's the question. And Viola is also like, what the fuck? And part of that is because she thinks that they're having a love affair, but if you have two brain cells, you can figure out they're not having a love affair. Sabine just sees them as really good friends. She's basically gal palled the two of them. But Viola is like, please, just be gay with me. Because apparently that's something you can do in the 1950s. But around this same time, this dude Roland shows up. He is the son of this like aristocratic family, and Viola's been hanging out with a bunch of aristocratic families over the course of this story because the like headmistress of her school that she's living at or whatever like knows all these families. So all the kids at the school are going to hang out with these families and whatever. And they meet Roland at one of the parties that they go to, and he and Sabine apparently have a history or whatever. And basically, as soon as he comes onto the scene, that's when she gets sick. It gets really bad, whatever. She's basically bedridden for the rest of the book. Viola gets it into her head that the reason that Sabine is sick and gets sicker when Roland is around is because he's a vampire. This sounds absolutely crazy and it seems fucking buck wild and thrown and just fucking thrown in there. That's what I thought. It sure as fuck felt like it. And even Sabine thinks so too, but the idea is that like the doctor and Roland have been draining blood from her. It's craziness. So when Viola tells Sabine, she says, and as for the other stuff, your phobia of penetration and whatnot, because don't kid yourself, that's all the vampire symbol stands for. I gagged. I was like, she got the lesbians. Like, she knows. The original vampire story was a lesbian. You can look it up. I heard this like years ago. I don't actually know where I found this information. But yeah. And then all the other kids pretty much leave the fucking school because they have no teacher. And so, like, their parents come and get them. And obviously, like, Viola is really fucked up about her not girlfriend being sick and being bled to death. So she calls her dad and is like, Dad, come the fuck here immediately. We are going to get me out of here and hopefully save Sabine. What happens then is that the dad's like, okay, he hears her out and he's like, okay, just don't like make me embarrassed in public, please. But he agrees to like help her or whatever. So then he brings her to this party because apparently he knows one of the old aristocratic families that is been hanging around. And so they go to this party and they announce that Roland and Sabine are gonna be married, and she freaks the fuck out, obviously. She tries to get her dad to leave with her. The dad's like, no, no, no. He whips her onto the dance floor and promptly bites her fucking neck. I was shook. Same thing happens to one of the other students that's there. And so then Viola becomes a vampire. And it was really crazy because it happened within the last like 60 pages of the fucking book. It was a really good twist ending because like it's almost kind of gratifying to see her batshit crazy theory actually be true, and that it's not like drawn out in its explanation. It just kind of like happens really quickly and there's nothing she can do about it. Sabine dies because Roland basically bled her out too quick and she wasn't able to heal. Why? Because men are dumb. So ultimately, this book was really kind of great because it was like everything that like is lesbian culture. So vampires, fear of penetration, and thinking that you and someone are like about to be dating and that there's like a flirty connection there, but turns out you were just friends and she's straight and you were reading the situation wrong. Slash also lesbians being into straight women. Done right. Done 100% correct. You got it. Lesbians fucking nailed that shit right on the head. And now I can very happily announce that we are going to be reading Call Me By Your Name for the next book. And yes, I do have the movie cover as the image because the original was fucking ugly and I can't believe enough people read it to turn it into a movie. You got extremely lucky, Andre Asiman. I'm really excited to read this because this girl that hates me one time told me that she thought I would like it because it's about gay Jews. And I was like, You know, you're right. You fucking sold me. I love gay Jews. I did think the movie was kind of gross, um, and like a little, and by a little I mean a lot unnecessarily graphic. I could have really done without the peach scene or quite a bit of like the sex scene. I Maybe I really am a lesbian. And you're getting live footage of this. Thank you so much for watching. Feel free to join the Goodreads group because you should totally do that. Keep up with what we're reading every month. Have discussions about the books. If you have thoughts, you can either put them in the Goodreads or in the comments or in both. Like, I'm here to talk about books, like, whatever. Also, subscribe. That way you also get the book reviews and can take part. And I do other videos largely about social like issues or things that are going on culturally. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.
Oh, Mamma Mia, here I go again. My, how could I resist you? Mamma Mia, does it show again?